I don't think that's in the DNA of the IT sector, because it's an intelligence-based industry. Doubts is the central thing in that, the beginning of the challenge, formulation of the problem, and the solution of it, and also the broader class of background. Both makes it easier. So I think what you're raising is an agenda to think about why, insofar as there has not been as much radical questioning as we might have expected, why that's the case and what can we do about it. So again, I think that's a very constructive issue to raise.
Next question.
I'm Yuvraj from Novatium. Sir, you made a comment just now. This question is directed towards Dr. Sen as well as Dr. Karnik. So in my opinion, the IT industry, most people work 55, 60 hours a week. Maybe there is a point whereby those hours could be reduced and the same hours could actually go towards CSR. And I'm reasonably confident there is a model whereby the productivity can still be there at the current levels.
Do you want to address that?
You want to answer?
You got the question.
We just talked.
Okay, let me.
Yeah, we talked of this a little bit ago in the previous session where somebody suggested that everybody from the CEO down should volunteer 1 hour a month or whatever. I think it will be most welcome. And yeah, in any case, I think all of us in the IT industry need to get our work-life balance a little better together. But certainly, I completely agree with you that more time devoted to voluntary work, not just, as I said, the Tirupati business of giving them money, would enrich not just what you do, but would enrich you in terms of more learning and more gains. And probably you bring back some of that into the workplace to not in the task you do, but in maybe looking at that task differently and innovating and doing something very different. I'm sure it will bring great satisfaction. It's a thought which we would do. And NASSCOM Foundation is certainly looking at how to tap into all the idealist young people, not of my age but much younger, who might want to do things and to channelize and organize their energies into doing something good.
Yeah. This one there.
Shekhar from Siemens. I have a question regarding knowledge communities. I think many times it is reported in the press that India spends much less in R&D compared to other countries, and there was a comment from the President some weeks ago that even this allocation was not possible to be spent in the last year. I just wanted to ask Professor Sen what his opinion is regarding the state of R&D in India vis-a-vis China, because it looks like China is marching very fast compared to India.
I think probably Kiran can answer the question better than I can. I do know that that in terms, you see, I think there is a real difficulty in the sense that how you judge what's happening in R&D. If you go by such issues as the number of patents, etc., I don't see that you get a picture that India is well behind China. In fact, exactly the opposite. If you go by the Institutes of Excellence, there was a report which was actually originally made, I think, by some people in Shanghai, which made a list of all the institutions in the world, global universities, successful. I was pleased to see that my own university, namely Harvard, was #1 in that. But there was none of the Indians there, and a few Chinese were there. But again, then there was a lot of debate on that subject as to what extent that was a fair report, whether it takes sufficient note of the IITs and whether it exaggerated the achievements of the Chinese institution. I just don't know that, really. And, you know, from time to time when we are getting into Q&A, I encounter a question to which my best answer is to say I really don't know the answer to that question. But that's not because I don't acknowledge the importance of the question that you're asking.
But certainly I should tell you that in corporate R&D, that is certainly on the increase, because there wasn't a need for corporate R&D when you have a license permit quota system. But as the economy opens up, corporate R&D would increase. Rajesh, you had a question.
Rajendra Pawar from NIIT. The question I wanted to ask is that if you look at education, and all of us are really concerned about education, we find that in the last 10 years the government has taken a few concrete steps through Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan to look at primary education. And we see a huge increase in the number of kids coming into school in the rural areas as well. So there's a question of dropout and so on, but at least a big step has been taken. And now the next step is that these kids are, tens of millions will come into secondary education, and that government should now do something to receive them in that system and upgrade that system. The question I have is that when you go to higher education, it is possible to look at the economic value by the recipient, that you can know that if I do this, I will earn that, which is not so easy in schools. And therefore the question I was saying is that while it's important for government to play a bigger and bigger role in primary and secondary school education, as we go into higher and technical education and vocational education, there is an economic argument. And should the market play a bigger role than what it's being permitted to do so? Because I can't see how India will have enough money to clean up the whole system from primary till higher education. The Indian government doesn't seem to be very open on letting the higher education, the vocational education get liberated. Should the policy change in that regard? What is your view?
Yeah, that's a very difficult question. Let me say a couple of things though about the preamble to the question that you presented, Rajin. I don't agree that, I do agree that there have been a big move forward in primary education. I don't agree that it's dealing with the problem with anything like adequacy. I think if, you know, every survey we have done, which are not based on government numbers of how many people are coming to school, we tend to find a much lower number than the government Ministry of Education report. Not surprising, the Ministry of Education gives the statistics out on the basis of collection of data where the amount of money that it pays to the school depends on the number of students. So this is a completely, incentive incompatible system. It produces, it gives a bias to reporting. But what is right, and you are absolutely right on that even if you think those things, which are not that biased, census every 10 years asks, is any child of the school, of this family now in a school? And the NSS, the National Sample Survey, which is, by the way, one of the very early IT technology that was introduced by P.C. Mahalanobis as it happened in India, that they also indicate that there has been an expansion forward, but nothing like what the numbers are that we quote. I think, and there's a problem there because sometimes we take more credit. I was responsible to helping my Pakistani friend Mahbub Haq to set up the Human Development Initiative in UN, and I also did the Human Development Index for him. And one of the difficulties that I know that some of the numbers that go into the Indian primary education in that are not right. But Mahbub's point really was that you can't fit it. And that's true of every country, the critique that you're making. There's no way selectively you can downgrade the Indian numbers without downgrading the others because people are concerned of the ranking.